You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 90 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name's Kyle.
My name's Corey.
Welcome back, everybody. Back for another huge week, another huge show lined up. Geez, where do we start? Well, let's do a quick catch up. Corey, how you feeling this week?
Well, right now I'm extremely burnt, man, both literally, mentally, and physically. Yeah, I don't know. Friday, I took the kid camping. I just went for a quick 24-hour run at camping. I mean, I apologize again, Kyle. Like you, circumstances, blah blah blah. Kyle and I didn't get to go camping together, but anyhow, I took my son, and it's pretty awesome. It was well worth it. I didn't bring any pots or pans or cooking stuff. I just brought a cooler with cold food, and we went for 24 hours, and it was awesome, man. It was perfect. We came back home, huge party on my street, like. It was nuts. Finished it up with some boating with the neighbors as well, so that was pretty fun.
Nice. Yeah, I had the kids to myself all weekend, which was really nice, really tiring, but a lot of sun, a lot of swimming. Not in my bust of a pool this summer, but yeah, no, we had some ice cream, we had some pizza, we did all the things that you wouldn't normally do out of habit, but it was a good summer weekend. Getting close to the end here of the season, it was nice to just get a lot of rays one more time.
Once.
Anyway, no one wants to hear about that. Let's move on to some more interesting stuff. So, a lot of birthdays going on in the Commonwealth recently. So, happy birthday to Ben from the Skyhoppers podcast. He had a birthday. That was on Saturday, I believe. And young Mr. Sebastian, as a little guy, he is turning big 4 this Sunday. Happy birthday, Sebastian. And our friend, the myth, the man, the legend, Carlos Candido is having a birthday today on Tuesday, August 29th. Happy birthday, nice. Carlos. And of course...
Well, that's not it, actually. I think it's also Paul over at Talk Star Wars, and Jeremy from Talk Star Wars was last week as well.
That's right. Happy birthday, all you guys.
Well, this is a big month for the Commonwealth, it looks like.
Yeah, no kidding. But listen, our birthday serenading master also caught wind of these birthdays and had a little bit of this to send along.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Carlos. Candido, Ben, and Sebastian. Happy birthday to you guys.
There you go. You guys know who that is. That's Bradley W. Hall down in Texas. And just a quick shout out to all the people in Texas, if there are any listening right now, aside from Bradley. Stay safe, stay dry. Bradley, I hope everything has gone well for you and your family down there, and that you guys continue to stay, well, safe and dry. I know there's an absolute massive downpour of rain coming down there. Scary stuff. I've seen some images and heard some things. Not
I heard
good.
Something like 40 inches. Like that's incredible.
That's biblical proportion stuff. That's crazy stuff. Anyway, thoughts to people in the state that don't mess around. Stay safe, everybody. So guys, if you're listening and you're not part of our Powerful Friends program, today's the last day to get in there. Head over to our Patreon Tumbling Saber page. Sign up so you can get into the draw for the Tusken Raider, the 40th anniversary Tusken Raider figure, which we're giving away. Today right now, as this podcast drops, it is Tuesday, and Corey and I are going to be recording Sith Disturbers on Tuesday night, so you probably have a few hours. You know what? I don't know, but you need to get in there. You need to get in there and get your name in there, and we'll throw your name in for the draw, which is happening this week, and we'll announce that on Sith Disturbers, which is going underground for the very first time to our powerful friends. That's going to be interesting. Corey, Force Friday is right around the corner. Excited, or are you feeling like me? Like I feel like the air is totally out of the balloon.
Yeah, I'm deflated. Like you'd said, I'm kind of not okay with it. I've asked so many questions about it to various stores such as Walmart and Toys R Us. Really, no coordination on anyone's part. Like, someone, I don't know, Lucasfilm's got to get on the ball with this stuff. Because, like, me personally, I didn't have time again to go out this weekend. And I heard from some good friends, again, in the Commonwealth, Tim from the Nerd Room, that Sanjay had picked up a whole bunch of stuff for the boys. Like, the whole line of 6-inch figures, which is what I want. But I want to have an opportunity to actually grab them. And to be honest, frankly, like, it's not in the budget this week. You know, like, I've made plans for other things and thinking Force Friday is this coming Friday, right? Like, so it's disappointing in that sense that even if I do go out, like, I gotta really watch what I do. And anyhow, it gives me a bit of anxiety, to be honest. I want these things badly. So if they're not even available, if they're already gone by Force Friday, like, I'm going to be a little peeved. I will have them. You know what?
I maybe in a way it's a blessing for us because I've not seen anything in our immediate area. So maybe somebody can read the box around here and not put them on the pegs until Friday, which at this point would be nice because, you know, as we record this, we're about to start a new work week. Chances to run out to the Walmarts and Toys R Us's of the world will be fewer and further between. So let them just stay in their pallets until Friday and let us have the same shot as everybody else. Because yeah, I mean, I don't really have designs on buying too much stuff. We'll talk about that more next time we sit down. But yeah, definitely the Thrawn I want to get my hands on. Not because I like the character, just because it's gonna be a highly sought after figure. The Hera 6-inch, the Rey, the Luke. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm after a whole bunch. I'm probably going to get the whole first wave of 6-inch figures. Like, every one of them is pretty cool, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of coin to drop, you know what I mean? That's what, 7 figures, $35 a pop, that's $200.
I might not get the Vader, to be honest. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, I don't know, but I'm really still keeping my eye on the 40th anniversary Vader, because, I mean, the packaging on that one's just 10 times cooler. And, you know, if it comes down to like $20 or something, you still got that exact same figure plus a much cooler box, plus another display. So hopefully that'll come down.
Yeah, that's a good point. But who knows if they'll be keeping them at this point? You know, they might just pack them all back up and ship them back to Hasbro. All right, so yeah. Anyway, Force Friday is coming. We'll talk more about that on Sith Disturbers. So make sure if you want to hear that and be into the draw for the Tusken Raider figure, head over to patreon.com/tumblingsaber and sign up. $2-3 a month and you're in.
Get some.
All right, let's quickly touch on Donald Glover. He's wrapped on the Han Solo picture, and Ron Howard mentioned it, I think, via Twitter, and he had such an effusive praise tweet, and I think that had to be partly intentional after Donald Glover made a comment that once upon a time that he wasn't sure how Ron had felt about him or about his performance or where he stood with them. Like he knew that, or he figured that, you know, he probably wouldn't be Ron Howard's first choice as Lando. So it was almost sounding like he was in the dumps and insecure about himself as Lando, as an actor.
Well, like, he knew Lord and Miller had chosen him, right? So it's like that with anything. I think you had mentioned that in the past as well. Like, you know, it's not the cast you had chosen and whatnot, but
yeah, no, I get where he was coming from, but I feel like the way Ron Howard was so effusive with his praise when he let him go after he had wrapped, it was almost like a reaffirmation that, yeah, no, this is the guy I would have chosen, or I'm completely satisfied with this guy's work.
Well, you know, after I was familiar with his work prior. He's not who I had chosen that thing that we had done months and months and months ago. But after having seen one picture of him and then obviously paying more attention to him as a person and the roles that he had taken on, even Childish Gambino. Like, I don't know, just everything just made so much sense. Like, this guy he is suave. He is an intellectual. He's a smart guy, and he's going to nail this role.
He may end up being the best thing about that movie.
Yeah, I love Billy D's advice to him.
Geez, we need... I really want to see a Lando standalone film just because Donald Glover was so good. It's entirely possible.
It's true. Remember Billy D's advice to him? You know, Donald Glover said he felt like he went on and on and on about how he felt about the character and how the character should be portrayed and how deep the character actually was. And Billy D just kind of looked at him and was just like, yeah, I don't know about all that. You just got to be smooth.
Yeah, straight from the horse's mouth. That's got to count for something. All right, so let's jump into some stuff that came out early last week. This is a bit potentially spoilery, depending on how deep Corey and I go on this, but some dialogue from Snoke in I think this is the BB-8 playset, if I'm not mistaken. The one that transforms into, I guess, that First Order installation. I don't know if it's a base or...
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It could be pretty spoilery in the sense that if that's Thrawn's throne room, or not Thrawn, Snoke's throne room.
Yeah, imagine.
That's kind of odd.
Oh god,
you see all the characters that are there. Like it looks like they're ambushing. Like they're on site on the packaging, right? There's Rey, there's Finn.
Yeah, and it's
in the background in an X-wing.
You never want to read too deeply into that kind of thing, but I think in this particular case, I think the images ring really true to what's going to happen in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's based, it's a playset, right?
Yeah. So anyway, there's a couple lines from Snoke, or at least been attributed to Snoke. One is, I have been expecting you, and the Resistance is doomed. So I guess we'll tackle these one at a time. Anything interesting to say about I have been expecting you?
Yeah, definitely. That can go in a few different ways. It's a good ring. It makes perfect sense for Star Wars, you know. It's been done before. I don't know if it's been said for word.
Well, pretty much by Palpacino.
Yeah. So, by process of elimination, is he expecting Finn? No. Poe? No. Rose? No. DJ? Small possibility. Kylo? It's like, I've been expecting you. And Kylo's gonna be like, yeah, I know. We just got off the phone like 5 minutes ago.
We live together.
So that kind of brings it down. I mean, the obvious answer is Luke, Rey, possibly Leia. So those are my three candidates there, and I'm expecting it to be Rey. Like, okay, he could be expecting Luke, but I think Rey, being this girl that he's been all jazzed up about, him and Kylo, then, you know, he had to know that she was going to come to the fore at one point.
Yeah, and it puts a little bit of extra oomph behind the thought that, the behind the scenes reel where we see Rey fighting with some individuals with long weapons. So it makes a lot of sense that maybe those are Praetorian guards as she makes her move on Snoke.
Correct.
Yeah.
Let's say it could be either or. I mean, we got the Knights of Ren as well.
Those guys could be done with by then. The Knights of Ren might be completely dispatched by the time we get to this point in the movie.
We don't even know what point that is, because she's just in like a training room, right?
Well, I would have to imagine this is near the end of the film.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, either or, but yeah, it definitely makes sense because there was definitely two of them. So, or no, I think it was three.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move quickly through this. We got a lot to talk about tonight, and we don't want to keep the people all day, do we?
No, we don't.
Well, we do. It would be nice to have everybody in the same room, all like just chatting Star Wars. That's kind of the fantasy, right? Just to get all of our pals in the room and just chat Star Wars all day.
And drink.
Well, of course. All right, so the other line out of that was, the Resistance is doomed. Which is, that's as generic a line as it gets, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Again, now that one could be said to anyone. Like, it could be two takes I'm looking at it from. Captured individuals, such as Finn and Rose, maybe. Like, he's holding them and he's explaining to them. But again, it kind of boils back into that conversation with Rey. I've been expecting you. La da la la da. Your friends are doomed. You know, the resistance is doomed. You've got one choice, and that is to come with me, and we're gonna make it right together, and blah blah blah. You know.
Yeah, this totally echoes Palpatine and Luke in Jedi. Totally.
Yeah, agreed.
I,
Now,
mean,
where's
I don't know
Luke
if
at
it's
this
going to
point?
play out
That's the
that way,
interesting
but
part.
that's on the surface what this looks like.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, Luke is definitely doesn't look like Luke's. I mean, we've speculated that's not the case, but looks like Luke's not going to be at the fore of this again on the toy box. Like Luke's nowhere to be seen at this point.
No, they're either really hiding Luke again, or maybe is Luke left behind on Acto? Acto, is that what we're calling it now? That's what Bresnikan called it, right? Acto?
I think he might have even said Ash, like Ashto.
No.
Yeah,
Really?
I've heard that now too.
I'm not going Ash until I hear it. I'm just going to go Acto from now on. Until proven otherwise, it's Acto.
Alrighty then.
Anyway, moving along to Wednesday last week, the Star Wars show gave us a couple really good looks at a couple of new First Order vehicles. The AT-M6 Guerrilla Walker. Huge beast of a machine. And I guess we'd seen pictures of it on MSW way back when, but blurry, grainy images that we did our best with. I never understood the whole Guerrilla Walker thing, but now I totally get it. But I'm calling it now, Corey. I mentioned it the last time we got a decent look at this. I'm calling it now. The way the front foot is, you know how they kind of, apes kind of rest on the front of their knuckles?
Mm-hmm.
This thing, I'm telling you, it's going to use those front hands, feet, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be used as diggers. They're going to be used to dig up that Resistance underground base.
That's a good call. I like that.
That's going to be a really cool scene as that whole thing just gets ripped apart.
I love the stance of this thing. It is really cool. And the way they talked about it in this article too is just so interesting now that they had them comparing them to AT-ATs or AT-ATs. They're so small compared to these things. And they're almost using them now as scouting
Oh yeah,
tools,
just our old regular faithful AT-ATs, right?
Which is kind of odd because they're definitely not really conducive to being like not seen. You know what I mean? They're pretty loud.
Yeah, they're pretty lumbering and pretty loud, pretty huge on their own. But this guy gave themselves quite a large berth, didn't he? He said they're like 1/3 to like even twice the size of a regular AT-AT.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of odd too. I'm glad you mentioned that.
It's like, dude, it's like saying your birthday is between the first and last of the year.
It's going to be awesome, though. I hope they do that in this movie in regards to the AT-ATs and seeing that and, like, the Resistance being like, oh, man, we got a whole lot of AT-ATs inbound. We're in big trouble. And then, like, wait, what's that? And, like the second...
The second wave, the massive ones come in?
Yeah, the all-terrain Mega Caliber 6. Like, that's a serious name, man, for AT-M6.
That's going to be like a $250 playset.
Probably. Imagine the Lego.
Oh, Jesus.
Merchandising.
Are you're not really interested in like vehicles and playsets like that, are you?
Well, yeah, I am kind of now. Like, I mean, at the moment, I got to kind of focus on, I guess, what I'm doing, but I would definitely love to have, a fleet, like a rebel fleet, resistance fleet, some first order stuff. I want to have a B-wing really bad. Of course, I want all of it, man. Like, I'd like to get a few walkers in there.
A few, jeez.
Well, just like, again, the different models. You have the ones from the first era.
Well, you're going to have to sell at least 3 kidneys if you want to do that.
Really, they're that bad now, eh?
Anyway, the other thing we got a good look at is a Star Destroyer Dreadnought. Good Christ, man. What about the gun on the bottom of that thing?
Well, that's pretty much my only observation, more or less. Like, I just want to say I missed the old bridge. These things are quite flat. They're interesting. I mean, they look really cool. Well, the first
thing that came to my mind is what ended up being made a meme about it was that it looks like a big slice of pizza.
Well, I mean, so does a Star Destroyer.
Like at least the Star Destroyer had angles to it, right? Like from one cross section, it looked like a diamond, and from the side, it looked like an arrowhead. there were shapes and angles to it. This thing just looks like a 2-dimensional like pizza slice.
Well, I just like the premise that they put behind it, like guns, and more guns. Like that was the focus of the ship. Should we get some radars on here? No guns.
Yeah, no, take
More guns.
all the radars off and put more guns. Sounds like something I would have made like as a child.
I like it. And like touching back on those cannons, like you just said, like think about that. I don't know how this ship compares to a super star destroyer, but they said again it was quite. I mean, what was the length? Like it's
like 7.5 kilometers long.
Yeah, so think about it. When you really boil that down, ratio size, that cannon itself, the 2 cannons, must be probably about at least 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers, or at least 1 kilometer, I would say. Those are some big ass cannons, man.
Oh yeah, those are huge. The thing that jumped into my mind about the size of those cannons was, well, you read Catalyst, right?
Yeah.
So that when Krennic was testing some of the early stage Death Star weapons, they were essentially big cannons strapped to a Star Destroyer, and they were shooting them off into black holes. And so I'm thinking, is this sort of the next step of that particular kind of weapon? Like, that is a massive, massive gun.
It's huge. So it kind of, I don't think this ship isn't going to necessarily be for like, fighting a battle against, well, it could fight its own battle against other starships, but I see it more as a planetary bombardment kind of vehicle, like just rain fire and hell from above onto the planet.
Oh yeah, I really do. I mean, do you think they would put that kind of gun on a ship and then not use it?
Oh no, they'd have to use it.
It's like putting the Death Star in Rogue One and then not using it.
Yeah, pretty much. They'll use it for sure. It's there for a reason.
Yeah, I guess would it be used in a bombardment to drive the Resistance out of Dakar? Or will it bombard them from space on their
on Crate?
On Crate? Yeah, I don't know. One or the other.
Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely want to see it though. And just quickly, I know this is kind of silly, but I mean, the New Republic was like, whatever, First Order, blah blah blah. They're not that big a deal. And I get that the galaxy is a big place, but if you have some kind of grasp on things, like you might catch wind of them building mega cannons and super star destroyers, things called dreadnoughts and these all-terrain mega caliber 6s. Like, I get that they can do these on hidden facilities and whatnot, but they're cranking out some heavy artillery here, and they should have known a little more what they were dealing with.
Well, I mean, unless they were building these things in the unknown regions, which nobody knows what's out there except evidently the First Order. Which is, it's almost like a loophole as far as storytelling goes. There's this big section of space and nobody's been there before. So they can just write anything.
Kind of like that.
All right, so moving on here, Corey, we're going to talk about Maz Kanata, the shriveled little tangerine. I immediately got a vision of Donald Trump. Sorry, Donald. So MSW clarified her role in The Last Jedi. So earmuffs for anybody who wants to remain spoiler-free on this front. Like I wish I had been. So skip ahead. I don't know. I want to say like 3 minutes.
You're spoiling me here. I haven't read this one yet.
Oh well, here's this thing in the show notes. Oh, maybe I didn't put. No, I did. Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. I did not put this in the show notes.
I know. I'm like, that's it. I see some Maz notes here, but not pertaining to this. That's fine. Let's hear it.
All right. So
out with it.
Last week or the week before, I think during the Bresna bomb breakdown, we had said that or Rian Johnson had mentioned that she has just a tiny role in this movie, and I thought, well, maybe she's going to be the one at the end of the movie to help Rey put the pieces together about who she is and where she's from and yada yada yada. I suppose that could still be the case, but in this particular report, she's the one that is going to point Rose and Finn in the direction of DJ, which makes all kinds of sense.
Oh yeah, she knows everybody.
I'm so annoyed that I didn't think of that. Like, that is so obvious. Like, where
Duh, Kyle.
yeah, now it's a huge duh. Like, it's like, wow. I don't know if anybody hit on this before, but that just seems so clear and obvious a purpose. Or where's this DJ guy come from? He's unaffiliated to anybody. He seems pretty sketchy. Well, of course Maz knows him.
It'd be cool if Maz caught Finn too, like, because we had heard Finn was having second thoughts or second guessing himself. If she caught him like the last minute, like running again.
Yeah, I could see that happening, or you could see when he wakes up and he wakes up, probably wants to find Ray, realizes she's gone, so okay, fine, forget Ray, I'm out of here. And then he encounters Rose, who has sort of lifted him up to this hero status, and then Finn likes what he's hearing, and he likes to hear that he's a hero. And he comes up with this crazy scheme to go take out the First Order. And maybe Maz shows up and goes, whoa, 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 whoa. I'll make this simpler for you. Go to Canto Bight and find that guy. It could make a shortcut around a very weird thing, or maybe be a humorous moment. But I like what you said.
That means that Maz is with the Resistance too.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Yeah, she needs somewhere to stay.
Yeah, she needs a place to lay her little shrunken head. A little withering face. She needs to get her beauty rest. Anyway, I in a way, I'm a little bit disappointed, as much as that makes sense, but I thought she'd have more of an important character in the overall scope of things, rather than just being like a galactic Rolodex, you know what I mean?
Yeah, more or less. I would have liked her, like you said, to have spoken with Ray, given Ray a little more insight into her past or something like that, because I do feel like she has a few more answers, but she's kind of one of those people that's not gonna, like, it's up to you to kind of get there in a way. Like, she's not gonna give it to you on a silver platter, but I do feel like she knows more than she's saying.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then I would also like to see Maz use the Force to some degree. There was an old report that she did in The Force Awakens, but it never, I don't know if it ever made it to film, it got cut, or if they just never filmed, they wrote it but never filmed it. I'd like to see a non-Jedi/Sith use the Force. Oh, and like some smart ass is gonna go, oh, we saw Bendu use the Force, they're not Jedi or Sith. Yeah, okay. Shut up. I'm talking about on the big screen.
It'd be cool because we know that she's quite old, so maybe she's like a Jedi that took the Barrage vow or something.
A Jedi that gave it all up?
Yeah.
Maybe she's Yaddle.
I'm open at a bar.
She's Yaddle that she's Yaddle now, but she jumped in a tanning booth for a little too long.
She had to hide. She had to do something after Order 66.
I suppose you got to hide somewhere. Okay, so sticking with Maz, now shifting over to the Han Solo movie. I think this was on the Steel Wars podcast.
Yeah, it's good on Steel.
Yeah, so he was speaking to Funko's director of marketing, and he was running down some of the Han Solo toys that were coming around, and he slipped in Lupita Nyong'o's name. Maz Kanata, of course. So
that's a bit of a slip. A little bit.
Now, did he just kind of... Is that an honest slip-up? Like, she's not in the movie? Or did he really just let the cat out of the bag? I personally think that he let the cat out of the bag. And I know you are the first person to have come up with Maz Kanata needing to be in this movie.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I think James and I at the time were like, oh, shit, yes. Maz Kanata absolutely should be in the Han Solo movie. A missed opportunity if they don't do that.
That's true.
Not to say it would be a bad movie if they don't put her in by any stretch, but it makes so much sense. She's just such a cool and connected character. She obviously has a history with Han and Chewie, probably Lando as well. Put her in.
Yeah, 100%. It would lend itself very well to TFA. It's like, Han, like, we need some help. Like, oh, of course you do. Like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, in this movie, I could totally see her just quickly being in it, even if it's just a small cameo where she's bailing them out, like in a heavy situation, like, man, he's got to help us. Like, and she's like, okay, like, hide in here, quick.
Yeah, or maybe she doesn't really like Han at first, but it's we get to see she kind of has a thing for Chewbacca.
Yeah, how does Chewie woo her?
Oh, it's that lustrous fur. That's how he got
Not only
me.
that, I could see him. Well, she could probably handle herself.
Musky scent. Jeez. Anyway, if he's right, I mean that's kind of a pretty big screw up.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it because it
that's
might confirm
what
something
makes
pretty
me-
cool. But dude, you goofed.
not only that, but I would think that maybe he didn't goof necessarily, or maybe he just didn't read the fine print in his non-disclosure agreement or whatever. Could be a big goof, an expensive goof. So one would think that he would be a little more aware of this. So hopefully he wasn't just confusing it with The Last Jedi, because we know that Maz is confirmed to be in that. So, maybe there's a bit of confusion crossover there. Hopefully that's not the case and that she is in the movie, because like you said, like, who doesn't want to see that? The rapport between them, the history, it makes so much sense. It could be so funny, so perfect. I want to see this movie. I've said it many times before. This movie has room for everybody. Everybody's invited to this movie.
Yeah, as much as I just want to jump up and down and say yes, you're right. I don't want this movie to be a 2-hour wink to fans.
No, agreed. I think we're in good hands, though. Again, the story that they've written, the script supposedly is amazing, and I'm going with that. And I agree with you, but definitely with Han Solo, there's so much history that we have from just the movies, watching the movies. We got Jabba, Lando, Chewie. Those are 3 big chunks right there. Boba Fett, 4. Like, if you throw those characters in there, and we also have the characters that are in the movie, like his mentor. Got Emilia Clarke's character. Gee whiz.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Anyways, I'm going with it. I say this guy is let the cat out of the bag, and we can expect Lupita Nyong'o to reprise the role of Maz in Han Solo. I think that's happening.
That would be awesome, and so glad I thought of it.
Yeah, no, if anybody, I don't know what episode you said that in, but it's going back a ways, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was one of those on-the-spot things where the light bulb just kind of went off. We were talking live, and it was just it's not like I had it in my notes or.
Well, it's not like we rehearsed the show or anything, but yeah, it was completely spontaneous and probably not jotted down in your show notes.
Yeah. Nice
job.
Yeah.
Okay, so sticking with the Han Solo movie, Michael K. Williams has been cut. All of his stuff just gone, and he revealed that in an interview with Vanity Fair. He was I guess he could have been kept in, but the reshoot schedule conflicted with what he's doing now. So, as he said, snip, snip, snip. He's out. He's gone. He didn't seem that broken up about it, which makes him a much better person than me, because I would be absolutely crestfallen.
Yeah, that's what I've written here. But even by the end of the article, he still says kind of that he has a little bit of hope left that he might be in this movie still. But it is fortunate in a huge way, and like you said, crestfallen. Oh my god, to know that you're in a Star Wars flick and you're gonna have this cool character in a movie, and then you film your scenes and everything, and yeah, we can't use them. It's like, like Star Wars.
Gone. Like, that could have been his ticket. If he stopped acting tomorrow but had that role, like, he still has his ticket. I mean, I'm sure he's very comfortable for the rest of his life because of his body of work. But he could have done the convention thing for the next 30 years and still remain very comfortable and have a very viable career as a member of the Star Wars fandom.
What's interesting too, I don't know. It depends. If they're cutting it right out of the film, that kind of says a lot in a way. It either says that his character was quite minimal, or, they're doing extensive reshooting and rewrites.
Well, I suppose they could. Could they just recast that character and reshoot all that person's role?
Yeah, who knows? I kind of took it in the way that they would probably have to, but we haven't heard anything about them recasting anyone. That would probably jump to the fore.
Yeah, you're probably right. My initial sense was that this character is just gone. being blown right out of the film. So
yeah, that's the sense I'm getting. So for that to happen, you can't really figure that, okay, it was a fun moment in the film where this guy's kind of like maybe like a bad space pirate guy, and, you know, not necessary for the...
Well, I don't think he was a space pirate. He offered up do you see the description of the character?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Well, not recently, anyway.
He said, and this is more potential spoilers if this guy does pop up in the movie, just not by Michael K. Williams. He said he wore this beautiful white kimono, was very regal. He had class, money, strength, charisma, and he knew how to fight. He was a warrior. He had a lot of prestige. If he lived in our world, he would probably hang out with Jay-Z and Beyonce. Yeah, you got to be a player to hang out with people like that.
Yeah, my bad.
So definitely not a pirate. Anyway,
well, either way, it's odd that he's gone, man, and hopefully they could still use some of his footage, but it looks like that's not the case, and I'd be heartbroken. He's still okay with it. He's still getting paid, so.
Oh yeah, no, he's gonna get every cent that he signed for, I think.
But just, I don't know, if you read his last comment there, like, he's praising the Lucas family, and, you know, he's kind of hoping this isn't the end for him in Star Wars. Like, he has a relationship with them now, and maybe, hey, who knows, they don't use him in this film, they can use him in something else because they're familiar with him and the way he works now.
Well, yeah, he said, I think his quote was, I feel very confident that I'll be back in the galaxy, just not in the Han Solo movie. Something like that was the quote. And I have no idea, but I'm going to guess that he's had a conversation with somebody and they said, look, this really sucks, but we love your work. We'll try to get you back in at some point in the future. Which would be rare. I don't know if anybody's ever been cut just to be brought back in.
Well, who knows? But if they like what he did, why not?
Yeah. Anyway, so there's another report. Sorry, just to finish off on that, it's hard for me to really get too worked up about this because I have no idea really what this character's role was. I don't know what the plot of this movie is. I have no personal connection to the actor, and I've only seen him in a couple of small things. I don't really have any strong feelings on this either way. It doesn't signal any strong alarm bells as far as, oh my god, another thing's being chopped out of this movie. Oh my god, panic. I don't know. Are you alarmed by any of this?
No, I think it's just unfortunate. Again, like, just reflects the character that he was playing in a way. Like, if they really needed him, they'd either work around it or recast, which you don't know they've done. We haven't heard anything about, so I don't think that's happening. So it's just an unfortunate circumstance where he's working on this other film with Ben Kingsley and what's his name, Chris Evans. Seems like it's going to be a big movie. He's got contracts in place, and he has to fulfill those obligations. Well,
that's the thing, right? For actors, like professionals, and I'm using the strict definition of the word professional. For them, I would think in a lot of cases, for me and you and everybody listening, it's unfathomable, but for them, it's, yeah, this is Star Wars. This is really cool, but it's a job. Now he's got this other job where he's working with Ben freaking Kingsley. You know what I mean? Like, probably not a bad consolation prize.
No, for sure. It's a real. You can't burn your bridges in Hollywood either. Like, it is what it is. That's exactly what he said. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure he's disappointed, but either he's got assurances that he'll be back, or he's just the type of guy that he'll just roll with the punches and move on with his life.
Yeah, what else is he gonna do? He'd huddle in a corner like us and just be sad.
Anyway, so it's similar in the same vein. Emilia Clarke's character name was revealed, and frankly, I don't even want to talk about this, but because who cares about a 4-letter name on its own? But I feel like we need to just stop and give a little reading comprehension lesson. So here is the quote from that same Vanity Fair piece with Michael K. Williams. And they describe his character as a link between Han Solo and Emilia's character, Kira. So more on that in a second. So the quote from MKW, as I'm going to call him, is that the character that he did play is a link between Han Solo and Amelia. A lot of clickbait sites and a lot of people just ran like their hair was on fire, twisting it to be that Han and Kira are linked. Just, I don't know if that was in a rush to hand feed the narrative that, ooh, this is Rey's mom and Han is the dad. Like, just, no, read the quote, understand the quote, and then press
and
delete
understand the
on
way
your
time
clickbait
works.
post.
Unless she remained pregnant for like, I don't know, 20, 30 years.
You never know. This, weird things happen in this galaxy. Or, I don't even want to talk about it. Nope. Don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, what it is, in my opinion, is I've heard this not too long ago. I think it might have been on the Star Wars show where, if you or I were working for Lucasfilm, just say that, and we pitch something to them, we have an idea, we throw them as a sword, they're like, yeah, we kind of like it, it's not going to work here, but it's going to go in our archives. So they have this vast multitude of ideas to pick from at times. Like, granted, it might not necessarily be for the story that it was intended for, but they can look at an aspect of what someone else has written in the past and say, hey, that works with what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? So someone obviously had a thing for Kira, and they want to put Kira in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, now MSW had a report about Emilia Clarke's character name, but they have her as Kura. So we have this tug of war now between Kira and Kura. And let the best K win. But
I'm pulling for Kura.
Yeah. I'm pulling for Kira just because I want to see. I want to watch the world burn in some regards. I want to see people just run around with this whole, oh, Rey was supposed to be Kira, now this is Kira, and they're related. They have to be. I just want to watch people set themselves ablaze with that.
That's always fun.
It's like kicking over an anthill. All right. So lastly, and this is fresh news. MSW has a report of a report tonight. So I'll give them the credit for bringing it past my eyeballs, and you can go check out their page. By the time you hear this, you probably have. But they mentioned something from the Everything Geek podcast, where they spoke to two extras from The Force Awakens, who were both on hand during various scenes on Jakku. So I'll just fast forward to the bit where they mention the gist of this whole thing is that Episode 9 is going back to Abu Dhabi, which would stand to reason is going to be Jakku once again for Episode 9. And that makes kind of all kinds of sense to me and sort of links up with some Tumbling Saber history way back. I think Episode 14, when we had Anna Maria Leonte on. And she mentioned that, I asked the question, I figured I needed to ask, is there anything you can tell us about episodes 8 or 9? Or maybe I just asked her about 8, but she mentioned that she's kind of blanket covered for all 3 sequels, that she can't talk about 8 or 9, which kind of got me thinking, why? If you're just a bit player in 7, and I know you were there for 2 weeks, so I don't want to disparage the role by saying a bit player, but why would they make you sign an NDA for 2 more movies that you're not involved with? Is that standard operating procedure, or is there something there? Did they maybe capture some scenes way back when, or capture some shots that they're going to use later on? What do you think, Corey?
In regards to Anna Maria, I don't know. I thought that was interesting too because I listened to that one and I couldn't really tell you in regards to her. I wouldn't think it makes sense. The only way it could work would be a force back or like some kind of flashback because she obviously kind of bit the dust in The Force Awakens.
Well, what if they return to that village? No, they didn't shoot that. That village wasn't shot in Abu Dhabi. That was a location set at Pinewood. But anyway, let's play with this anyway. So if they're going back to, I mean, it makes sense, I would think, right? Luke went.
To go back to Act 2 or Act 2 would be amazing.
No,
the only other
Jakku.
Jakku, sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, so to go back there, it harkens to all Star Wars. I mean, Anakin goes back to the Sand Planet. Luke goes back to the Sand Planet. Rey goes back to the Sand Planet. But each time one of these characters goes back, they're 100% different from what they were when they left. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, no doubt. I wonder what's left on Jakku. We're left to think that it's this dead planet with nothing going on. Aftermath tells us differently. But do you think there's still unfinished business for Rey on Jakku?
Maybe she's just got to go back there for one last thing. I couldn't really put my finger on it. I don't want to speculate, but it's going to be cool to see her possibly interact with characters from her past. I know this scene was cut out on Carplet. I don't know if it was in the book or not that his arms actually did get ripped off.
Oh, so. Wouldn't it be nice to see her just go slap the stink right out of him?
Exactly. Like, it'd be so cool to. It's kind of like the way Anakin went back to Watto.
Maybe she's hungry and she needs to pick up some portions. Maybe she misses that Insta bread.
She goes back to her old dwelling. I would love to see it.
I left my Game Boy there.
My old at.
She needs to go pick up her old Game Boy in the at. Yeah, maybe she finds her parents down at that like the neighborhood pub. They've been playing like lotto poker video poker for like the last 20 years.
No, well, that's just it. I would figure it has something to do with her lineage or her backstory, her history, why she's headed back there. I don't necessarily think it's... If it were Force related, that'd be kind of cool too. Maybe if there's a temple there or something, which I kind of doubt at this point, seeing as how there were so many Imperial installations there.
Well, what was the Church of the Force doing there?
Hiding out on a junk planet?
I gotta imagine they're somehow involved. I would think they're more involved than Unkar Plutt and his crappy little outpost.
Involved in what, though?
Oh, geez, I have absolutely no idea.
I kind of tend to figure that when that village was slaughtered, it was kind of like all the, Church of the Force people were kind of there, if anyone were believers, apart from Lord Santeca.
Well, think of it this way: when Luke went back to Tatooine, like if we were in the 70s right now, and we were just before Empire dropping. But we had a little note about episode 6. And we'd say, well, why would Luke return to Tatooine? There's nothing there. We wouldn't have thought much about Jabba. We certainly wouldn't have thought about Han and Carbonite at Jabba's palace. We would say, why the hell would Luke go back? There's nothing there. So
yeah, you're saying with only having seen A New Hope.
That's what I mean. Us with only having seen The Force Awakens, I couldn't even begin to tell you why Rey would go back to Jakku.
But either way, in the long run, it does make sense. Somehow, like, it harkens to Star Wars themes throughout time.
It does, and of course we'll keep hammering on the. Well, they're just remaking Jedi now. I'll also say this.
Go there for a reason.
Sorry, go ahead.
She'll be there for a reason.
Well, I sure hope she's there for a reason. Otherwise, that's bad boy Colin Trevorrow. Yeah. I've kind of lost my train of thought, but it does make sense for her to go back. I think I'm kind of happy to not know at this point. You know what I mean?
Of course, we haven't even reached second base yet, and. Like, we don't want to know anything about the end already.
It's sad though, right? It's in a few months. I mean, 16 days from now until The Last Jedi drops.
Yeah, I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked. I can't believe the 100-day marker is almost upon us.
Yeah, in a couple weeks we'll be talking about 100 days, and then it's the final countdown. We'll be really looking forward to the trailer, but. We'll be 2 out of 3 movies down. And then we'll be looking at episode 9 and then staring at another abyss. What's coming after that? another conversation for another day. So we'll take a short break, and then we'll get into this week's amazing questions. I am super stoked to get into. So next voice you hear will be that of the legendary Knight ads. So stick around, listen to ads, and we're going to be back to kick around these questions in the binary sunset.
Bigly.
Evening, chaps. Hope you're both well. Your 90th show, only 10 away from the century. So congratulations for that. I am currently sat in my lounge, and I have a 6-foot stormtrooper balloon standing in front of me. It's one of my boys' birthdays tomorrow, and so we got him a special balloon, which, quite frankly, is incredible. Very much looking forward to seeing his reaction in the morning. Anyway, questions. So, The Last Jedi. It seems pretty likely that on Act 2, Luke has discovered a Jedi temple. What do you think the chances are that we will see a temple guard in The Last Jedi? And if we do see a temple guard, do you think we may have already met that person previously? Now, I'm leaning heavily on Star Wars Rebels, not just for that question, but also for this one as well. When Ezra and Kanan discovered the Jedi Temple, they both needed to be there to gain access to it. Do we think that there might be a similar situation in The Last Jedi with regards to gaining access to this temple, or perhaps a part of this temple? Does Luke need Rey, for example, to actually discover parts that have been hidden to him so far? We've also had a scene in Rebels where Ezra spoke to Yoda, and so I wonder whether we might come across Yoda again in that sort of scenario for Rey. So a few questions there. I will look forward to listening to the two of you work your magic on them, and I will speak to you again next week. Take care. Bye.
There goes ads. Thank you, sir, yet again for a bunch of awesome questions this week. We're going to need an update on that gammy hamstring. How you feeling there, ads?
Yeah, I hope you're doing better, brother.
What's the recipe for that? Is it like hot, cold application? Is it stretching? All of the above? None of the above? Anyway, Ads was on quite the impressive run of running, jogging, whatever. Hope you can get back to it too.
The correct pronunciation is yogging.
Yogging?
It's Anchorman, come on.
I have not seen that in many years.
It's good. It's the latest thing. You just run.
that I do remember. Actually, you know what? I remember before I lost my train of thought on the whole Jakku thing. So what I was going to say is that if they had people like Anna Maria and others who were present for all of the scenes on Jakku, if they really did sign an NDA because maybe they are going back, or maybe they did capture some stuff for episodes 8 or 9, then that at least partially addresses the idea of all of these directors coming in and having a blank slate to work from, where one director passes the torch to the next with like, here you go, buddy, you take it from here. Like if they had stuff already established way back in The Force Awakens for episodes 8 or 9.
Yeah, that means they have a preconceived notion of what the layout of the entire saga.
Yeah, at least to some degree, and maybe in some cases very specific degrees. So anyway, we'll see. I'm not saying that's the case.
I hope it is. I mean, God, it would only make sense to have a cohesive story in place before starting a brand new franchise, one of the biggest franchises in history. Yeah,
I mean, a very skeleton framework. I wouldn't want them to tell the writers and directors how to do their job. You direct this.
Exactly.
But I
agree with you. Just the bones.
And barely that. Just get this character from here to there to there. Anyway, okay, on to Ad's question. So he's left us with 3 this week. So we'll start with this one. Will we see a temple guard on Acto? And if so, do we know this person already? What do you think, Corey?
I think that's a really interesting question. I'm gonna have to say no, in the sense that a temple guard is usually appointed by the Jedi Order to be a temple guard. So I don't think there's anyone that we're really familiar with in that regard. So I don't know. I could see a Force ghost kind of putting up a challenge for either Rey or Luke to show them the path of enlightenment, to kind of give them some kind of truth, provide some kind of knowledge onto them about either themselves or whatever they're after. But I don't see it as a guard per se. And if there were a guard guarding Act 2, that would be cool if it were a new character to me. Like someone almost like from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
That'd be pretty neat, like to have this old ancient person just waiting for all this time for someone to come.
Someone to come take over his shift?
Yeah. It's been so long. You've come. That's so cool. I love that, just touching on Indy, how he thinks that Indy's the next knight. Love Indy.
Yeah, that was a cool scene, and I that is kind of the thing that popped into my head first. I would dearly love to see, you know, the same uniformed guards that we saw in the Clone Wars cartoons in or on Acto. I don't think we will. I definitely don't think if we do that it would be someone we know. But
I would think it's very different too, just because it's the first Jedi Temple and somewhat primitive, I would think, in that regard. So, like the Temple Guard seem to be like, I don't know, they seem to be like an afterthought of the Jedi. It's not like they were established, I would think, right away.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what their full story is, but yeah, if there was a guard there, he I guess by default would have had to have been there for a long, long time. I mean, I think that's automatic. But I think ultimately we're not going to get either of those things, just because I think whatever role they would take care of, I think the caretakers, those weird blobby things, would take on that role.
No, that's a good point.
The blob nannies, that's what I'm going to call them.
Yeah, they kind of just allow Luke to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they have any force abilities, or going further than that, any ability to fight. That would be hilarious if they did. When you really think about it, that would be hilarious.
Especially, we haven't seen their legs yet, but supposedly they have like chicken legs. So
yeah, I mean, even if they just had like this crazy force ability, right? Or if
well, they definitely know something. They definitely believe in something about the Jedi. So have set up shop there for that long.
Yeah, probably. So it's not out of the picture to think that, hey, maybe they do battle with the Knights of Ren.
That would kind of be awkward, I would think.
Well, I mean, how much more awkward is it than you try go back 35 years and then try to describe Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? You know? How far off are these things from Ninja Turtles?
That's the thing. They really do look quite. I don't know. From the pictures, anyhow, I could see them walking and stuff in my head and looking around, and it's like the average moviegoer will be able to tell that it's a dude in a costume or something.
Well, to me, they still look more like a low budget thing out of Doctor Who, where they just kind of waddle around badly.
I got you there.
And maybe
for me, it reminds me of Teddy Ruxpin for some reason.
Yeah, well, there you go. Something out of the 80s. All right, so question number 2. Does Luke need Rey to help open or get access to a closed-off section in a temple? And this is something I was talking about a long time ago, specifically after we saw Rebels and Kanan and Ezra teaming up to open up or unlock a Jedi temple. Do you think that's going to make a reappearance in The Last Jedi?
Well, I think you and I have speculated, and James as well, over time, that we've talked about this subject multiple times, I would think. And again, you had written a blog post on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
I think you did, actually, back in the day. I'm going to say 100% that you did. I'm sure of it. So, yeah, I think it's very possible. I don't know if it's likely if they'll go down that path, but I've been saying a lot lately that I think once Luke comes to and sees the light a bit, that they're going to need to accomplish something together, and it's very likely that is the case, that it does take two. And you again, Kyle, you said it's happened multiple times in Rebels and Twilight of the Apprentice, the episodes with Maul and Ezra, Kanan and Ezra. It's always two, so that would be really interesting. So I do want to see that, and I think it's a very good point.
Well, you're right. I did. Now you talked about it, and I did mention something about that. So the one big problem with it is this. So, like, do you think the Luke that we see at the end of The Force Awakens, if he's been on Acto for a number of years, has he already acquired the knowledge he's been looking for and is just sort of waiting? Or do you think he's there going, damn it, like, I can't get this temple open, so no, I'm just going to sit here? Like, I think you said no, he knows. He's already gotten his answers.
I don't know. I think he has some of the answers. I think his understanding of what it is to be a Jedi and his understanding of the Force was changed at one point when his temple burned, when his order was destroyed. I think something happened there, and it made his ideas of what it is to be a Jedi change, and he knew them to be true. He sought out Acto, and who knows, maybe he found a few things out there, but I don't think he's found everything that he's looking for. I think it's almost to him like an impossible task at this point. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, he's been waiting there, and he's kind of just become a part of the landscape, I think.
Yeah, again, possible, but here's the problem. So if Luke is there waiting for help in opening the temple, then this kind of doesn't make sense with what we've been hearing, because we've been told, again, specifically in that Bresna bomb, that Luke completely rejects Rey's presence. Like, he might even go so far as to tell her to get lost, take a hike. So if you think that if she was the key for Luke to opening up a temple and getting all this extra knowledge, that he'd be like, yes, you're here, let's go over there and open up that temple. But instead, it's like, from what we've been told, he wants nothing to do with her. So I think that probably shoots down the whole "it takes two."
Not necessarily. Like, he could, again, I was just kind of hearkening on that. Like, he could be like stewing on just being there for all that time, just giving up hope, having the hope while arriving, and then waiting and waiting and waiting, and then convincing himself that it's never going to happen in a way. And when he sees her, it's like, oh, okay, like, you're here, like it's kind of over for me, I don't want to take part in this anymore. And again, slowly they teach each other a thing or two, and he kind of comes back to life, and he's like, I'm all right, like, you are who you say you are, so
yeah,
let's get on with our mission here.
Well, we just talked about it, right, with the whole Jakku thing. So Rian Johnson's writing this movie, and from what we know now is that these guys are just handed the torch from the previous director, and they take the ball and run with it. I think this is one of those things where I'm sure Ryan and Dave Filoni have spoken. I'm sure all these guys have spoken to one another at some point, but I don't think they force their ideas on each other. So the idea of it taking two to open a temple, I don't think Rian Johnson wrote that. I think, and if Dave Filoni or somebody said, oh, actually, no, we've got this thing in canon now that it takes two, like, I don't think they're enforcing that type of thing. So I think in a few years from now,
it should. Come on, opening Jedi temples and Sith temples is a really rare occasion. We haven't seen it all that much in the movies. I don't think we've ever seen it. The Clone Wars, I'm having a hard time. We've seen it 2-3 times in Rebels, and that's about it at this point. And it's always been a rare treat.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, was Rian Johnson already working on The Last Jedi by the time we saw these temples being unlocked. I think so. So were those ideas already exchanged with one another, and they're, as they're launching in Rebels, Ryan's incorporating it into his script, thinking it's a great idea? Or is he off on his own doing his own thing, going, whatever they're doing over there in Rebels is cool, I'm doing my thing over here? But I do think, in my opinion, they're not going to do this. I don't think they're going to do 2. But it's going to be one of those things 2, 5, 10 years from now that we'll look back and go, they really should have gotten together on these things. Like, they should have made that align more closely. You know what I mean? Like, I think you were just saying it. Like they should make that a thing.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think because this could have been blown in the trailer right away, and I'm thinking about it now, the book that we see in the trailer, that's like the first book. Like, Lucas has said he made a point of never wanting to see paper in Star Wars just because it's a digital universe and galaxy. So this predates a lot of stuff. So who knows? Maybe a lot of the answers were in that book and he's already unlocked it because it looks to be in that tree. So I don't even know if they're even going to go in any temple. Well, maybe because we see Rey dive into that thing. That looks pretty cool in the caves. Who knows? It's really interesting, but I would hope that they do enter a temple, and if they do, I hope they do follow the rule of 2.
Well, maybe opening up that tree took 2. Maybe Luke's, we see Luke's hand passing over the cover.
I think I said caress.
Yeah, that's your word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we see Luke's hand caress the cover of one of those books. Maybe it's the first time he's seeing it, and maybe it took 2 of them to get into that tree trunk.
Yeah, you're making sense there because, what, does he go in there and caress it every time?
He just keeps fondling his book over and over. Maybe that's the first time he sees it.
That'd be a big reveal too. Like, been right under his nose the whole time.
Yeah. Maybe it's the first time people have laid eyes on this Jedi library in years.
Yeah. Rey's like, hey, have you seen this? What? Yeah, there's a book down there. What? What are you talking about? Show me.
What's a book?
Yeah.
What's paper? All right. Did we answer the question?
We got one more. Will we come across Yoda?
Hold on. Let's come to a final conclusion here. So, does Luke need Rey to help open or access closed off sections of the temple?
Now, according to canon, I'm going to have to go ahead and say yes. If they are actually going to go into a temple, I would like to see them follow through with the master and apprentice.
Yeah, this is a tough one to answer.
Because temples, they're usually like that. Like, once you become a Jedi, you're kind of solo, you're on your own, right? But the temples, they always seem to be related more toward master and apprentice in the sense of either finding a kyber crystal or something,
Yeah, I agree with you. Fine. I'll stick with the piece I wrote way back when, even though I've drifted from that some. Just getting to know Rian Johnson as we have over the last little while, seems like he's doing something totally on his own. I think in the back of my mind, I don't think we're going to see any of this. But whatever. I'll go down with the ship. I'll stick with my old ignorant piece that I wrote way back when and just hope to see it. All right. Lastly here from ads, will we come across Yoda in this kind of scenario?
Well, I kind of touched upon that in question 1. I don't necessarily see there being a guard, but I do see Yoda, more Yoda, because Yoda's kind of like the overseer of these things. If there's anything weird that's going to happen in that regard, I would think Yoda's going to be a part of it. If there were any Force visions to kind of, make something pretty clear, I think Yoda could be involved in those.
Yeah, I think if there's a scene in a Jedi temple, I think it's a guarantee that this is where we're going to see Yoda's ghost. I'm almost certain of that. I would, or at least I would put a lot of money on that. And I think it would be a tidy way of aligning the character with old Jedi lore. You know what I mean? Like if Yoda's spirit is conjured up in this temple, it's sort of a signal that Yoda's been hanging out there and has probably picked up what he's missed over the years. Am I making any sense?
That makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Right. If you heard what I had to say about a possible Yoda role in The Last Jedi on the TSW roundtable, then maybe this is another place to insert that. So you know in Rebels that Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra each have their own visions, and with Ezra in particular being met by Yoda. So I mentioned on that episode how Rey could have a scene with Luke, and he sends her off towards this Jedi dark corner of a Jedi temple, and she meets Yoda's ghost, and then he tells her, the Yoda ghost tells Rey that Luke has lost his mind and he's not to be trusted. I don't think that's going to happen, but I can envision it.
It can almost be like a not the truth, but him telling her that just so that see how she reacts toward him and see if she's capable of making her own decisions.
Yeah, or maybe Luke has gone crackers. You know what I mean? Like,
I hope not. I really hope not. Come on. Ugh, that would be such a waste of episodes 4 to 6.
I mean, if Luke had lost his mind a little bit, I think it would just be some sort of confirmation that it's going to be a triumphant return for him to sanity at some point.
Yeah, well, I do agree that he's not the man he once was, and he's definitely disturbed and jaded and whatnot, but lost his mind, I don't know. It would be kind of funny, though, if he was Yoda-esque in this film.
Yeah.
You meet Luke for the first time, and he's speaking like Yoda.
Bad syntax. I mean, it's kind of possible, right? You go through the trauma of losing a temple, losing your nephew, becoming estranged from your family, isolating yourself on your own for years, dealing with these blob caretakers.
Yeah, dealing with having been been in the spotlight all those years, blowing up the Death Star, being the hot shot.
I guess you could hardly blame him if he had lost his mind a little bit, right?
No, you can't. So it's a lot of tough things, but Leia hung in there.
She did. All right, Ads. Thank you very much, sir. I hope that answers your questions to your satisfaction. If not, the complaints email address is Corey@TumblingSaber. No, what's your address, Corey? It's with a Z at tumblingsaber.com.
With a Z.
That's the complaints department.
Double E. Z with a double E.
Oh, God.
Here we go.
Oh, dear. What have I done? Okay, on to some Bradley banter. Hey guys, I'm just now sending in my question. Life has gotten in the way for me this week. Well, it's okay, Bradley. You're in plenty of time. Do you think Disney would consider a standalone film set closer to the present trilogy? Or do you think they will play it safe and stick to the standalone films set before Star Wars? I assume he means A New Hope. Using older characters so as not to mess with the present plot with new saga films. I personally would love to see a Knights of Ren movie along with 8 million other people. I feel like this is doable with the talent they have over at Lucasfilm. Looking forward to your answer as always, and may the Force be with you. What do you think, Corey?
After 9, I think they can do something like that, I don't know if they'll do it right away.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly the way I look at it. They're gonna get this trilogy out of the way first, and then just beat the hell out of that 30-year gap. I mean, I know we've already gotten some plugs in that area, but I think once the credits roll on episode 9, I think we'll already know like a bunch of projects, whether they're comics or books or other properties in the works that are just gonna hammer those particular years.
Well, it's interesting too when you think about it in that sense. Like a lot of people, I feel this lately, and even myself, a lot of people when they look at the standalone films, we have Han Solo in the works right now, and maybe Obi-Wan, most likely Obi-Wan. And then people have said Boba Fett, and it's like everyone's picking off characters. When you look at the first standalone, it's not character driven. It's a story we were kind of familiar with, so it touched, it pulled on fandom's heartstrings in that sense. But it's not like they chose a particular character to exploit, if you will. So they don't even necessarily have to go down that route to make these standalones.
No, you're right. Like, and you said it. Like we had Rogue One, Han Solo is coming. Obi-Wan seems to be the one that's coming next. Boba Fett, like you said, is in the cards, and maybe even Yoda. And aside from the Yoda flick, they all have the same thing in common in that they're all set between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Who knows where Yoda could be set? It could also be in that window, but it could be, hundreds of years prior. What we do know is that Obi-Wan is probably closer to production, and Boba Fett was in production at one point. So, all these things happening in the same general time frame along the Star Wars timeline. So to me, it's apparent that either Lucasfilm is either intent on totally filling the gaps between episodes 3 and 4 before moving on to another time period, like likely between Jedi and TFA, or they're so mired in the nostalgic mystique that A New Hope conjures up that they're just too fixated on playing in that sandbox. They're too afraid to move outside of it. That whole, you know what I mean? When I say the imagery and the feel of A New Hope, that era of Star Wars, like maybe they're too afraid to break away from that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. But, I think they're going to do it. They have to. They have to if they want to grow. And again, these things take time. Like we got some really cool characters in the new saga so far. Granted, we're one movie in. But, afterward, if they want to do some standalones on those characters, it might even still be odd because it's so fresh coming off that, like touch upon it maybe in a few years and recast them maybe, but...
Wait, what?
Can I don't know.
That?
Like the characters
did you say
from...
recast?
Yeah. Yeah, you can recast characters like Poe Dameron and stuff in 20, 30 years,
Okay.
But who knows? Who knows how fandom's going to react to them now? We still got 2 films left, But in regards to Bradley saying the Knights of Ren, that's something I'm super interested in as well. But I don't think they're going to delve into that something right off the bat. Like, they have to let this saga play out, and who knows? We might even still get 12 movies out of this. And who knows? We haven't even seen part 2. We've seen the Knights of Ren, who look, again, I'm on the same page, Bradley. They look so cool. I want to know more. I'm super intrigued. Who are they? Are they Force sensitive? I have all these questions, but, if they're dispatched like, peons in The Last Jedi, it's gonna kind of put a damper on things. Like we haven't seen them on film other than a Force back or a Force vision so far. So we know squat about them.
Yeah, that's a great point though. You're right. Because who doesn't want to know more about these guys, right? Like Bradley said, and it's a tremendous point. I would like to see, I don't know if I want to see a movie about them, but I want to see something about them. And it's really easy to say, oh, I'd love to see a novel or a comic book about them. I wouldn't mind seeing a little something more about these guys. But you're right. If these guys just get chumped in The Last Jedi, then suddenly my care level about these guys goes down a whole lot.
Yeah. But again, like playing so closely, like Bradley said, to the timeline, things would get sticky. I think they want to have more of an open framework to work with, as opposed to, you're writing this standalone movie in the same time frame. Things can start to get a little constricted, like, oh, you can't do that now because of this, and so maybe they'll stay away from that for now. Anyhow,
well, again, that's kind of like the whole rumored reason why Obi-Wan's taking so long, right? Because there's something to do, like they're not finished with Obi-Wan in this trilogy, and they don't want to have to paint themselves into a corner by releasing a Obi-Wan standalone before they finish with him in the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense as well, and I like that. It just sucks that those articles we read seem so confirmed, I really, really, really wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth,
Yeah, they need to get on that. They really do. It's been long enough now. But Bradley, thank you, sir. That's at Bradley W. Hall on Twitter. Fine gentleman. Again, Bradley, stay dry. Okay, so now Carlos is back. The legendary Carlos Candido is here this week with a new question. He says, hello, my powerful friends. Hello, sir. First, I'd like to thank James for all he's done for the Tumbling Saber and Sith Disturbers during the last 2 years. His witty wit was just so witty, and he will be missed. Hear, hear. I fully expect James to join us to watch The Last Jedi like he did for Rogue One and The Force Awakens. Let's make it a date. And yeah, I absolutely, James will be there with us for sure. If we have to go drag him out of his enclave, he's coming with us. So here is my question for this week. If you could have just one Force power, just one, looking at you, Corey.
You wait.
What would it be? Force speed, Force lightning, telekinesis, Force vision, etc., etc. There's so many to choose from. For me, I'd love to have Vader's Force choke. Wait till someone took a bite of some dry toast or overcooked roast meat. Overcooked roast and make it look like an accident. Presto. What about y'all? Side note, I'm proud to be a powerful friend and Jedi, and I urge all of you listening to go to Patreon and do the same. Be cool like me. You won't regret it. Have a great show, boys. Now, hold on a second. You might think that I put words in Carlos's mouth or paid him to pimp the Patreon, but I swear I didn't. But since Carlos brought it up, again, if you haven't already, be like Carlos and hit our Patreon page and support us. And here's the way I look at it. It's really simple for one, and here's how it can improve your health. If you skip a couple cans of soda a week or month, soda, pop, whatever it's called in your neck of the woods,
one latte,
whatever your poison is. You'll cut down on a bunch of calories. You'll drop a few pounds. You'll feel better inside and out. And you'll support us as we try to fill your faces with more Star Wars goodness. So, like Carlos said, be cool. Go to patreon.com/tumblingsaber. Help us out. Okay, so, all right, back to the matter at hand. It's such a tough call. Just one, it's like, we always talk about what one superhero ability would you have? Super strength, flying. It's like the hardest question to answer. And this is no different. So, I don't know, Corey. What do you think?
I don't know, Kyle. What do you think?
Did you not do your homework and you want me to do it? Why?
No, I just want to save my loophole for the end.
Jeez. Oh, God. Well, I thought about the mind trick. It'd be very easy to mind trick everybody to do everything for you. I thought about Ezra and Anakin's shared ability to communicate with animals. That's kind of lame. And I don't think lightsaber dueling is a skill unto itself. Otherwise, I'd be very tempted. So I'm just going with good old telekinesis. The ability to move objects, for me, is just, it's way too tempting. You could take care of menial yet important tasks like calling your beer or remote control yourself without getting up. That's key. And then if you're caught in a really bad traffic jam, you just go Magneto in the last stand, and you just push every car out of your way. Just toss them off the bridge.
It's power, man.
That's power. You can't buy that kind of convenience. So
I like it.
Telekinesis, the ability to move anything wherever I need to move it. That's. I think that's what I'm going to do. What about you, loopholes? What do you got?
Well, I think first of all, touching on Carlos's thing, I think with the Force choke, I think Carlos kind of is going with telekinesis in that sense. No, it's kind of just moving your throat a bit.
I guess, yeah. It's just using, yeah, in a way.
Okay, well, so I kind of went with telekinesis as well, just because I think there's the most potential there, seeing as how I would be a virgin in the Force.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So, you gotta be, it's comparable to Professor X or Dr. Manhattan, those kind of style, like, I'm breaking down matter, I'm controlling matter and stuff, man. Like, I'm, kind of do anything at that point.
So telekinesis.
Boom. Yeah, loophole.
I don't know if that's really a loophole.
Just controlling matter, I just got it down pat. So I'm not just like grabbing myself a beer when I want to, like doing all kinds.
You know what? I feel like Carlos might strike your answer from the record.
That's okay.
Is it?
Yeah, it's valid. Come on, virgins.
What about the ability to create life, Darth Plagueis style?
Yeah, telekinesis. Just moving around some atoms. All powerful.
I don't think the ability to create life is telekinesis. Telekinesis?
Depends how deep you go into it, man. Like I'm thinking, you're controlling atoms on the molecular level here.
No, you're just moving objects, dude.
Tomato.
No. All right, Carlos. I tried to be honest about it.
I did it, Carlos. Did it.
I don't know that you did. But thank you, sir, for the plug for the Powerful Friends. It gets started in earnest this week. Can't wait to start that little program. It's going to get much cozier in here. Looking forward to it. All right. Now Nathan's back, who we love for his encyclopedic knowledge, because sometimes I just need somebody to straighten me out that way. So I think something we said struck a chord with Nathan about our Obi-Wan theory, or maybe he's just got one burning of his own. But here he goes. Hey gents, so everybody's been speculating about what the Kenobi movie is going to be about. When will it be set? Where will it be set? What color will his beard be? I, however, have already constructed the perfect story for this movie. It's several years after Episode 3. Obi-Wan is growing restless on Tatooine, wondering if the life he has resigned himself to is truly what the Force wills for him. Somehow he is contacted by Jedi Master Luminara unduly, seeking help on a nearby planet. Kenobi, seeing this as the Force's way of correcting him, which is more wishful thinking than anything, gets his ass off Tatooine and headed to her aid. They end up fighting for the good of the people on this planet and achieve what appears to be victory. However, the Imperial Inquisitory has been alerted to the presence of two Jedi, and they arrive in a Star Destroyer. Unduli is captured by the Inquisitors, and Kenobi escapes just in time to see the city in which they had just defeated the Empire be bombarded from orbit, killing everyone. Kenobi then realizes that no matter how many battles he fights, the Empire will just keep coming. The only way to victory is through that young boy on Tatooine, and the best thing Kenobi can do for the galaxy is to protect and eventually train the boy. He returns to Tatooine, looks out at the twin suns, and credits. So this does several things. Gives Obi-Wan a reason to go off planet, explains how Luminara ended up a mummy in an Imperial prison, gives Obi-Wan his first opportunity to learn that Vader is still alive, being an Imperial-occupied world and all, gives us a look at how the Inquisitory works, reinforces Obi-Wan's determination and belief in Luke's destiny, an opportunity for another appearance by Bail Organa. It's early enough that he can be called Obi-Wan, and it still be a long time in Episode 4, and finally, it would be badass. Anyway, I haven't given it much thought at all. Sure, Nathan. But I think it would work with a bit of fleshing out. Anything you guys would add, subtract, or modify? Curious as to what you think. Have a great show, guys. So, Corey, while I grab some water, I would like to hear what you think of all this.
Well, I think it's super interesting. I think it's well thought out, Nathan. if they were to take this character off-world, this is a good way to do that. And again, like you said, you're fleshing out some good storylines with Luminara and Dully. The Inquisitors. I'm super inquisitive about the Inquisitors. I want to know more about them and their inquisitory, as you said. So I think that's really interesting. Now, me personally, for me, I don't want to see Obi-Wan leave the planet. But I like what you had said in regards to him kind of giving up hope and seeing this as a sign that, he does need to do this. And it would kind of lend itself to the episode of Twin Sons, in the sense that it's either Obi-Wan's just been this wise all along, or he has this misstep here, like you had said in what you had written, and it gives him more stance or more grounds when he tells Ezra, your place is not here. Like, he tells Ezra, like, you shouldn't be here, Ezra. Like, understand that it's not your place. Move along.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I love what Nathan wrote to pieces. And I think I still am in the camp that says that Obi-Wan should not leave Tatooine for any reason. But this manages to create a good enough reason for me to consider it. And I think for a lot of fans, the idea of a 2-hour movie on Tatooine sounds dreadful and monotonous. And it kind of breaks with the language of Star Wars movie making. They all have multiple environments, right? So one desert planet for 2 hours, like that's a big change. But
I'd like to see an oasis on Tatooine at one point, or Tatooine.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there are some changes in the geography, right?
Of course.
But I mean, this is the fate that he's resigned himself to, right?
I'm on that page, to be honest. I don't think I think he's set in stone once he gets there that he's not moving. But again, what you're putting forward is super interesting, really interesting. So it's a matter of either does Kenobi kind of lose the faith in Luke, or is he seeing this like he's time is deceptive, obviously. Like, look what's happened to Luke, supposedly, in The Last Jedi. So if Kenobi can hang in there on this desert planet, like, doing nothing, becoming an old hermit, I don't know. It does kind of make sense in a lot of ways, though, and it does flush out a lot of great storylines, and if anything, like, it's the best theory or proposition that I've heard to take Obi-Wan off planet as well. Like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it's like Obi-Wan's he's broken and guilt-ridden over Order 66 and losing Anakin, right? Like, it's the fall of the Republic, all that stuff. And I can imagine him firmly believing that his path to redemption and usefulness is in protecting Luke and bringing him up to be the next one. There's just so much here, and I imagine, like, Luke, this is the problem that Lucasfilm is having right now. Or maybe I'm sure they've already had this conversation long ago. What do we do with him? Like, what level of adventure are we going to put into this movie? Does it make sense? Should we keep him on Tatooine? I'm sure they had some really heated debate on this. Wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, big time. It does. For me, it doesn't take away a lot of possibilities as well. Like, you've kind of inspired me too when I think about it. If I'm in my head, I'm kind of stuck on him staying on Tatooine, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't have Inquisitors. Doesn't necessarily mean that we can't have Luminara. Like, she can show up at one point in this movie still and maybe die with that secret. Like, that's the cause of her death. Like, where is Obi-Wan? I'm not telling. It doesn't mean that we can't see Bail again. Like, Bail can, remotely go in some quiet corner of Mos Eisley and discreetly meet Obi-Wan too. Like, I'd like to see that too, thinking about it.
Yeah, they'd have to work in Bail Organa somehow into this, even if it's just a holographic message, a check-in even. Do you think Obi-Wan still looks at, petty skirmishes the same way. Like in the Clone Wars, he'd be all too eager to go get involved, right? But we've already seen in the comic book that now, like these little skirmishes in Tatooine, a lot of times he's like, yeah, nope, I can't risk revealing myself, so I'll let this little injustice go for the sake of keeping my cover. So I wonder if that's a thing that he does now. Like he won't get involved. It's got to be the most dire of reasons if he's going to leave. Now, I think.
Well, he has to get involved at one point, or else what's the movie going to be about? Him hiding, him sulking.
Well, yeah, no, that's a good point. But let's expand Nathan's idea a bit, because I think it is worth exploring. It's pretty compelling. So what if Unduli has managed to cobble together 2 to 3 other Jedi, like total refugees, and they're looking to band together and maybe prop up the Jedi Order again. So they, again, like Nathan said, somehow they contact Obi-Wan, whether through the Force or whatnot, and Yoda for that matter, and through some sort of Force reunion type thing, they see this as their chance. There's 6 of them kicking around here, going, guys, we have a chance here to reestablish the Jedi. Let's go for it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think about in that regard, because I would think Yoda would be against that.
Yeah, maybe there's somebody that needs to stay out of it no matter what. Especially if we're going to use this Barash Vow thing, right?
Well, the more and more I think about it too, it's like I feel like how confident Obi-Wan is when he meets Luke, and the destiny and the wills of the Force are going to do what they do. I think it's safe to say that he's been communing with Yoda.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But anyway, so we have this little Jedi uprising with Unduli and a couple other Jedi refugees. They bring Obi-Wan in. Maybe Ahsoka is somehow involved. And just as they appear to have victory in hand, the Empire shows up and they destroy everything. And Unduli's captured, and a couple other Jedi are killed. I think that's pretty cool. You can maybe close up a Clone Wars loose thread and bring Barriss Offee in. She turned to the dark side, and where did she go? I was convinced she was the seventh sister.
Yeah. Yep.
And in fact, I still think she should have been the seventh sister. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of odd they didn't follow through with any of those things. It would have been, like I said, masked characters are always awesome to have big reveals, and for the most part, a lot of them were masked, and it's unfortunate that that was a perfect opportunity.
Well, we haven't met Inquisitors 2, 3, 4, and who knows what's beyond 8, right? So maybe she's still there.
But I had a theory back in the day. I don't know if you remember this, Kyle, but the seventh sister was her and Kanan had a past together because of some of the conversations they had. Yeah,
there was some creepy conversation there.
And it would have been cool if they could have touched on that. Like, they went to school together in the academy. Like, she turned, he didn't. It would have been pretty easy to fit in there.
Yeah, no, of course we know also in the Ahsoka novel that Ahsoka does not know about Obi-Wan's existence. She looks for his presence in the Force and doesn't find it. And at the end of the book, Bail doesn't tell her that Obi-Wan's on Tatooine. But maybe this situation that comes up induces Bail to tell Ahsoka, you know what, I go to Tatooine, you can get extra help there. What? So you could then have Ahsoka resume her rivalry with Barriss Offee. What else could you do here? Yeah, Unduli being captured and mummified. I think that's
one of the creepiest.
Oh, that was super creepy. Of Rebels. But yeah, it would be nice to see.
I was so stoked, man.
How that happens.
When I saw that episode, I was like, yes, there is another Jedi. Like, yeah. And then see her like just crawl back in there, and then her nose is what really did it, I think.
So here's how you make. Okay, I'm gonna add to this because the Inquisitors are chumps. Like, they can't stand up to a Jedi. They just can't. They're not good enough. So what if this whole thing? Like, what if this whole little Jedi uprising that I've added to this is a scheme by either the Empire or the Inquisitors, and it's a trap. It's some kind of, it's a way to get Obi-Wan off Tatooine so that they can go investigate why he's there and take care of it. So Obi-Wan comes to the realization that he's been lured away and then needs to race back to Tatooine before Luke is actually targeted. And Uncle Owen can be involved at that point, just before the whole Lars family is about to be smoked. Maybe Obi-Wan returns, and that's when you have like a desperate fight against Obi-Wan versus like 3 Inquisitors. I don't know. I mean, there is some potential here for sure.
Well, I would definitely like to see Obi-Wan on the run in this movie with some Force-related stuff. It would be cool if Inquisitors, if he had to dispatch like 2, 3, 4.
That's the only way I think an Inquisitor or pose a threat to Jedi, is if there's a bunch of them against one. Like, I remember, Ahsoka dusted 2 of them without breaking a sweat. Like Kanan, untrained, rusty, half-assed Kanan, all he had to do was just try a little bit harder, and he killed the Grand Inquisitor. Right?
Yeah, it's all circumstantial. Like, you just killed my Padawan. Like, all that kind of stuff comes into play. Like, Ahsoka didn't do it again. I said that not too long ago. There was 3-on-3, and she wasn't smoking anyone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kanan just got blind and took out Maul.
I don't see the Inquisitors as that big a threat, the way they've been portrayed so far. Again, maybe Inquisitors 2, 3, and 4 are total badasses. That's more than a possibility.
They're the Sith. They're the Sith loophole. They're not fully Sith. There's something they don't know to make them a little more powerful. But
they're lapdogs. Or attack dogs, I guess. But all of this still begs a key question for me. And it's not one that they can skirt around or lazily brush aside. But if this were to come to pass, and we saw this on the big screen, to me it's inconceivable that Vader doesn't find out about Obi-Wan's involvement, especially if the Inquisitors are involved. Like, I'm just so set on the idea that if the Inquisitors are involved, and if they know that they're in the mix with Obi-Wan, the first thing they're doing is telling Vader, right?
Yes.
There's no way they'd be like,
about that again.
Like, guys, let's not tell Vader. And then when we bring Obi-Wan's head in on a platter, he'll be super proud of us. No way, right?
Yeah, he'd be, either way, they'd probably be dead. Even if they brought Kenobi in, he'd be like, why didn't you call me? But I thought you'd be happy. Force choke.
Like, Vader showed up on Malachor, right?
Oh, yeah.
If he
surfing,
he'd be there double fast if he knew Obi-Wan was there on Malachor. And he'd be there with 25 Star Destroyers to make sure Obi-Wan didn't get off Malachor.
Yep.
But anyway,
Vader can't get word of this. Like, if it's on Tatooine, I could see them not being able to get transmissions out or something. In that regard, it would make sense. But in regards to Nathan, if he's off-world and like Obi-Wan Kenobi like lives, he's out there, like Vader would freak. Like Nathan said, the planet that they went to would probably be just pummeled and destroyed as a result of him, and he'd realize the error of his ways and go back to Tatooine.
Yeah, I mean, there probably is a way to make it work. Like, I don't know if it's an Imperial Inquisitor trap, then no, there's no way it works without Vader knowing. But if it all happens like organically, there's this Jedi uprising, the Inquisitors show up to take care of it, which again, even in itself, is stupid. If there's a Jedi uprising, you send the whole team. You don't send these lapdogs. And yeah, you lead with your spear. You bring Vader. But yeah, I think there is a way to make it work somehow. I'm definitely more on board with the possibility of Obi-Wan leaving Tatooine. I still don't know.
Well,
what this means for me is that whether they keep him on Tatooine and do like a 3-hour, like I've said, Lawrence of Arabia epic of just 3 hours of desert and shoot it well and write it well, I will be tickled pink. Now, if you do this movie where he leaves and it's action packed and it makes sense and it deepens Obi-Wan's regret and it enhances his story, great. I'm totally on board with that too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Me too.
But yeah, I just think there's so much potential here. And so now, like, what's good about what?
Well, it's true.
Nathan's
like
thing here is
what Nathan said.
Either way they go now, like one way I'm convinced it's going to be great, and the other way I might need a little more convincing. That's all. I trust them to make the right call and to do justice to the character.
No, it's true. Like I've been so hard set on saying that he's staying on Tatooine and whatever, and again, that's kind of what I want. I want that old Western kind of feel, but this kind of puts some elements in place where it kind of makes it make sense anyhow. So the possibilities are the faucets open, the floodgates are open a bit there, Nathan.
Well, yeah, and it reaches deep into Clone Wars. It reaches into Rebels. This movie would be almost like a 2-hour wink at fans, which I'm kind of leery of. But I think there's enough meat on the bone that it would stand up on its own 2 legs, and moviegoers would get enough out of it to go see it. I think. It's the whole thing is, how do you keep Vader out of the picture? There's just no way he could find out. No way.
It'd be nice if the only way he can never find out that he's on Tatooine, because then it's just game over. Like then he knows something just smells to high heavens. But it'd be nice if he found out and then Obi-Wan just disappeared again. He'd be like, no.
Because when they split apart on Mustafar, Anakin knows that Obi-Wan's out there, right?
Yeah, he's not happy. I hate you.
No, so he knows Obi-Wan's floating around out there somewhere, but has no idea where to look for him.
And it's interesting now that you say it that Ahsoka's quite strong in the Force and connected to Kenobi. She can't sense him out there, so he's obviously learnt some kind of way of masking his presence, or either Tatooine masks his presence for him, much like Dagobah did for Yoda.
Yeah, I think there's a Jedi trick somewhere that you can cover your tracks and hide your scent out there. I gotta think that's a thing. But yeah, no, Nathan, you moved the needle for me. I'm more on board. Nice job, sir.
Yeah, well done.
Well done indeed. Okay. Lastly, before we wrap up the show, we got Jeffrey back this week with another awesome question. So it's actually a nice light one, but it still begs some good thought. So says Jeffrey, if we actually lived in the Star Wars universe, what would you be? What job would you like to have? Would you want to be involved with the Rebellion, Resistance, Empire, or the First Order? What time period would you like to be in? So, Corey, I'm going to kick it over to you first because I'm a gracious host. I'm going to let you.
Well,
please don't loophole this. Please tell me you just answered this honestly for once.
Yeah, Jeffrey, I'm going to have to avoid the loophole. And, I know the fans, you, Kyle, we're all thinking the same thing. That we all know that I would be the hero of the Rebellion. Like the chosen one, in a sense, but no, that's not what I would choose for myself. What I would choose for myself is I would be a non-Force user. I'd be a farmer of sorts, but I would be a very extremely successful farmer. Who knows? Maybe producing Bacta or whatever it is. Like it's whatever I'm producing is well sought after, so that. I can come back to my homestead.
Corey farms whatever they put in death sticks, let's be honest.
Either way, I'm rich. I'm rich, bitch. But
I'm a farmer with billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah. I've set up my empire in that regard, and I can come home to my homestead and just relax in this most awesome, beautiful planet. And my main thing would just be to travel. And I would choose, I think what Obi-Wan referred to was, it was about 1,000 years of peace. So I'd stick myself right in the middle of that, lock down a really nice planet, do my thing, and just family, friends, everybody, let's party. Let's go travel the entire galaxy because we can.
Wait a minute. Okay. You're a farmer, a rich, jet-setting, party-going farmer.
Well, I started as a farmer, okay? And then I built everything up. I got this empire of blue milk, we'll say. I'm a blue dairy farmer.
Okay.
Either way, I got money and I'm traveling. That's what I would love to do in this galaxy. If I had one choice, even if it was a choice between having the Force or having this kind of lifestyle, I think it would be more beneficial to just have the ability to travel one corner of the galaxy to the other and explore everything in between. I think that would be much more enlightening and satisfying.
I suppose, I would love to argue with you about your whole premise of being a rich party-going farmer, but it's late and I don't have the energy, so I'm not going to. If somebody else wants to take up the torch for me.
Doesn't have to. I just like farmer because it's a peaceful life. I just want a peaceful life and one that I'm able to travel extensively. Well,
there you go. I did find this a tough question. A good one. I think it used to be easy to answer. And then by used to, I mean 2-3 years ago. As we sit in the God seat, I suppose it kind of still is, but now that new canon has exposed us to the Imperial side of the Imperial point of view, especially in the Lost Stars, it gets tougher to answer. Have you read it yet, Corey?
Nope. I have it actually sitting right in front of me, but no, I have not.
You need to get on that, man. It's.
I heard it's great.
It's probably my favorite canon book.
Really? I thought Aftermath was.
No. No.
No, not Aftermath. Sorry, Bloodline.
It's a toss-up. Bloodline, Lost Stars, same author. Go figure. I don't want to spoil this for you then. Jeez. Well, you know what? Too bad. It's been out for a couple years. You're gonna have to just earmuff it.
Yeah, hang on. Go.
So everybody. So now that Corey's not listening, who knows if he'll be back? So, Thane, Sienna, they're friends. They're just regular sounding teenagers, the same as we all were once upon a time. The same. Some of us may have teenage kids. They had the same thoughts and questions and feelings and concerns, but they just happened to work for the Empire. It was really an eye-opening book, and as good as it is, I think it's kind of muddied the waters for fans who consume everything Star Wars. Suddenly, the bad guys aren't so bad, at least not all of them. And I think early on in the book, it was made clear that being a part of the Empire was something to aspire to, which is just weird. That it was never a thing for years and years and years for us fans. The Empire was cruel, top to bottom. And now in this book, from this point of view, the rebels were terrorists. They were the bad guys. Fast forward through the timeline. I'm not sure how the Resistance is seen outside the First Order. I think they're just kind of seen like buzzing flies, people causing trouble. Anyway, but my occupation now, because a life as a rebel is just fraught with insecurity and vulnerability. You don't know whether you're coming or going, how long you're going to be on this planet for.
Too many sleepless nights.
Yeah. Being part of the Empire, I guess you could be hoodwinked into thinking you're doing the right thing. But all this being said, I'll just cut to the chase. I wouldn't mind being some kind of diplomat from Naboo, because those guys don't do shit. That whole world is pacifist. Seems like a pretty nice climate all around the planet, all year round. I think I could kick it there for a long time. Oh, whoa, even better. Here's this. How's this, Corey? Starship maintenance officer for a volunteer army. How much work do you think these guys do? None. Never. Probably polishing the chrome parts on those N1 starfighters. That's it.
I thought you were going to say big game fish hunter.
Okay, that seems like a pretty cool job on Naboo too. I'm
Really.
definitely living on Naboo.
Naboo would be an awesome place to live.
Yeah, there's just nothing going on there.
That's peaceful. Plains, waterfalls.
Yeah, we're pacifists. We're not involved. Just leave us alone.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
A lot of people wear stupid hats though. I wouldn't want to be one of those people that wear a stupid hat. Anyway, that's where I landed on this. Jeffrey, what about you? And same for everybody else out there. What would you guys do if you were in the Star Wars galaxy? There you go, Jeffrey. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everybody, for awesome questions this week. And that's it, Corey. We've made it to the end of episode 90. We are now officially 10 episodes away from the big 100.
Yeah, I can't believe that, man. 90's a big one, too. We're almost there.
Getting there, man. It's going to happen
Solid,
in,
man.
what, October? You'd think I would know that, but yeah, I think it's in October sometime. And no, before you ask, I'm not planning anything special for 100.
Wow. Better start planning. You got 10 episodes. A couple weeks. 10 weeks.
Well, I think if it is October, it's going to land right in the wheelhouse of the Last Jedi trailer. That'd be nice. Our 100th episode to do the Last Jedi trailer.
I see it being more toward the end of November, to be honest.
Well, we go. Jeez, can I figure this out right now? Can I think and chew gum at the same time? So 1, 2, so 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. Early November. November 7th should be our 100th episode. If I counted this right.
If I guesstimated right.
Anyway, there you go. It's coming soon. Episode 100. I can't believe it. Again, thank you everybody for listening, and a big thanks this week to Ads, Bradley, Carlos, Nathan, and Jeffrey. And I have to say, recently you guys have stepped up huge with questions. They've all been so awesome, and I just want to let you guys know that Corey and I really, really appreciate it. It just gives us so much to talk about every week, and what's really cool about them is that we could be going from the prequels to the originals through the sequels, the animated stuff, the books, the comics. We don't know where you guys are going to take the questions.
Yeah, the future, the unknown.
Jeffrey's was totally hypothetical. This is what we love. Like, the fact that we could do, like, we go long enough on the questions to do a podcast on its own. And I think that's something for you guys as a community to hang your hat on, like, just to feed us this awesome stuff and let us run wild with it every week. It's been so much fun. So thank you guys so much, and keep it coming, because this is one of the highlights of my week, every week, to be able to put this all together for you guys. Whew. All right. Sith Disturbers again this week, the first in our Powerful Friends program. As you know, we're doing that draw for the Sand People guy. I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, I know how you feel.
Aloysius is up there on my shelf, and he's become part of the family. I'm gonna have to send him out soon.
I know exactly how you feel. It's hard to let go of stuff like that. You get these attachments to.
I tried not to get attached. He wrecks everything in the house. He screams in the middle of the night. He terrorizes the cats, but
he's not screaming. It's just the way he speaks, bro. Like, get some culture in you. He's just saying hello.
That's a long drawn out way just to say hi. I'd rather have just like a poke with the stick. Maybe he needs some manners. Maybe I'll be happy to ship Aloysius out, jackass. You guys want to win a jackass? Go to patreon.com/tumblingsaber. I'll send you a jackass.
It's a good jackass.
He's a good ship. I like him. All right. So, like I said, become a member of our powerful friend community. And once you're in, a couple bucks a month, like I said, skip a couple sodas or a latte, as Corey said, and That will cover you. And if you win, my God, you're covered for the year. Okay, that's it. I'm going to let you guys go now. And I'm looking forward. I'm sure Corey is too. Corey, you want to say anything before we sign off?
Yeah, I want to say that you can all find me at Chop Rules with a Z.
There you go.
And you can now also send me an email anytime. And I'm looking forward to getting my first email in this account because I have not yet. It was actually created not too long ago. But it's with a Z. That's a double E. At tumblingsaber.com.
Amazing. Corey's entered the world of email. He's caught up to 1995, everybody.
Wow, Tumbling Saber email. It's a step above.
Well, that's right. You can drop Corey emails now. Not as if you couldn't do that before, but now he's got a tumblingsaber.com address. That's stepping it up. Anyway.
It's with a Z.
Guys, thank you again so much for listening this week. It's been a pleasure doing this show with you, Corey. I had a lot of fun. And looking forward to spending another week with you guys on the old Twitter and Facebook machine. We'll be back for those who are part of the Powerful Friends program. We'll be back late this week. Check your emails, guys, because I don't know any other way to get this episode to you other than through a select email link or select web link. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to come out very, very late Thursday or early Friday morning. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be your ticket to Sith Disturbers and finding out who wins our first draw. First of many, I hope. So have a great week. We'll talk to you on social media. And thanks so much again for listening. Peace.
Watching you walking away from me. Were you watching me? Was it just